Okay, hello everyone. Today we'll be starting with the first lesson of class 12 CBSE computer science portion. It's called functions in Python. Okay, so we'll be starting with the first chapter of the CBSE portion for class 12. Okay, so let me just share my screen with you and tell you what exactly are we planning to learn in this chapter. Okay, so this chapter is called functions in Python. And this chapter, I'm planning to divide it into 3 parts, okay? In the first 2 parts, I will be teaching you the concepts in this chapter. And in the third part, we'll be doing some programs as well as some output questions that we require for board exams. Is that clear? Okay, so in the first part, what are we going to learn? In the first part, we will be learning what is a function, what are the types of functions, what you understand by the term methods and functions, how do you create or define a function? How do you invoke a function? And what do you understand by actual parameters and formal parameters? So these are the few topics that I'm going to be dealing in part 1 of this chapter. So let's start with this chapter. The first thing that we need to know is what is a function? When I tell my students we're going to be learning something new in class 12, that's functions in functions in Python, they tell me that what is new about this chapter, because we have already learned functions in class 11. And they start naming some functions for me like len or str or POW or sqrt. So I tell them, fine, these are functions that you have learned in class 11, but these were all built-in functions. These functions were not created by you. Though you have used them in your programs, you have not created these functions. In this chapter, what we try to teach you here is how will you create your own functions? So that's the concentration, not just using the functions that are built in, that we have already learned. How do we create our own functions that is required for our own purposes, and how do we access them in our programs? Okay. So now what is a function? A function is nothing but a group of statements that perform a task. Now when I say that, let's look at the function named as POW, okay, which was present in the math module. Now, if I ask you, what did that function POW do? So when you wrote POW A comma B, the function returned an answer which was nothing but A raised to the value of B. So that was the task of that function named POW. For another example, let us talk about the function len, which we have used in the chapters in strings, in tuples, in lists, in dictionaries. We've used this len built-in function. Now, what was the task of the len function? In a string, it would tell you the number of characters present in the string. In a tuple or a list, it would tell you the number of elements present in the list or the tuple. So which means that was the task of the len function. So a function is nothing but some statements that will perform a task. Second point that you need to know about a function is it may or may not take parameters. Now, what do I mean by parameters? When you called the POW function, you wrote math.pow in bracket 2, 3. So the 2 and the 3 are the parameters that you send to the function. Okay, now when you spoke about, or when you used sqrt function, you wrote math.sqrt in bracket, let's say 25. There you wrote only a single parameter, whereas for POW you wrote 2 parameters. So some functions require parameters, some functions do not require parameters. So in this scenario, POW required 2 parameters, whereas sqrt took only a single parameter. So that is what I mean by it may or may not take parameters. Now, when I'm talking about a function that does not take parameters, I will show it to you in the examples to follow. Okay. Now, these functions may or may not return an answer or return a value. It is not necessary that every function needs to return an answer. Okay. You can have functions that calculate the answer and display the answer. Or you can have functions that calculate the answer and return the answer. Though you will learn later that returning an answer is a better option. But always in every function, it is not required. There are times when I don't want to return an answer. Suppose I want to draw a line of 10 stars. Okay, there is nothing I'm calculating. I just want to display 10 asterisk signs on the screen. So the function has nothing to return. So these functions may not return a value. But suppose I was writing a function to calculate, let's say, simple interest. So when I'm calculating simple interest, I have an answer to be returned. Okay, so a function may or may not return an answer. And the last point that you need to remember is a function is only executed when it is invoked or called. What do I mean by this? You may write multiple functions in your program, but it is not going to be executed unless and until you have invoked the function. To understand this, let's assume in your program in class 11, you have written import math. Okay, now why did we write import math? Because some mathematical functions were present in a module named as math. Now, just because you said import math, all the mathematical functions were available to you in this program. But did POW or SQRT start executing on its own? No. They were executed only when you invoked them or called them. So let me just wind up. What is a function? A function is nothing but a group of statements performing a task. It may or may not take parameters. It may or may not return a value. And it is only going to be executed when it is invoked or called. Okay, the next slide we'll see is what are the types of functions. Now you have seen a couple of functions in class 11 and we spoke about some of them. You've seen the print function, you've seen the len function. Now these are called built-in functions. They are already defined in the standard library of Python. So they are called built-in functions. Then you have seen functions such as POW or SQRT. Now these are functions that are present in a module. And what was the name of the module for SQRT and POW? The math module. So you can have functions which are defined in the standard library like len or print. You can have functions which are present in modules, but the functions that are present in modules, if you need to use them, you need to remember that you need to import that module. What we are concentrating in this chapter is user-defined functions. That means I, as a programmer, have defined some functions, and how am I going to be making use of these functions in my program? Okay, then at times in class 11, you must have learned sometimes we call methods, sometimes we call functions. If you ask me what's a method, I would say a method is a group of statements performing a task. Isn't that similar to functions? A method may or may not take parameters. Isn't that also similar to a function? A method may or may not return a value. And a method is also executed only when it is invoked. So it is so much similar to functions. Then why do we use the term methods? Okay. Now, methods are basically functions defined in a unit called class. In class 12 CBSE, the current syllabus is not expecting you to define a class. The previous syllabus taught students how to create classes as well. Whereas here, you all are not defining a class. But I'm sure you must have heard about the term class. Why? Why do I say that? When you declared a variable, let's say I is equal to 10. Okay, so what did this mean? You are initializing the value of I as 10. Now you want to know what kind of a variable is I. So you must have used a function named as type. So when you said type, print type I, it displayed a message saying class int. So basically, all the different data types that you have used, like int or float or strings or dictionaries or lists or tuples, They were all variables or objects of a class with that particular name, okay? But you will not be learning how to define a class, okay? So when these functions that we talk about are defined in a class, then generally they are referred to as methods. And how do you call a method? Now, if you remember, if you look at the screen here, you remember a function named as upper that was part of a string class. So you have a class called str, and in the class called str, we have a couple of functions like upper, lower, is alpha, is digit. If you remember, this was all class 11 string chapter. Okay, now if you remember invoking or using those methods, you would have written s1 dot upper or s1 dot is alpha. What was s1? S1 was your string variable. In fact, s1 was your object. Now, whenever you use functions that belong to a class, or whenever you use a method, then in that scenario, how do you use the method is you always write the object name dot the method name. So if you look at your screen, the screen shows you a small example. It says s1 is equal to hello. What does that mean? That I'm storing the string hello in a string variable named as s1. And then I wanted to convert the string hello to uppercase and store it in another variable. I know I cannot directly change S1 because S1 is immutable. We have learned mutable and immutable data types. So S1 cannot be altered in place. So what do? I convert it to uppercase and I'm storing it in another variable called S2. Now that's not important here. How did I use the upper function? I didn't write upper in bracket S1. Instead, I wrote s1 dot upper because upper is a method of a class named str. And whenever we invoke a method, we always use the object of that class. And in this scenario, the object of the class is s1. Okay, but think about the len function that we have used. When we use the len function, we just wrote len, and whichever object we were talking about, we wrote it in bracket. Now in this example below, I've shown you a tuple named as T1 and it has some values in it. Now I want to know how many elements are present in the tuple. So the function that tells me the number of elements in the tuple was len, if you remember, of class 11. So the next line I wrote, z is equal to len in bracket T1. So now remember, I didn't call len as T1.len because len did not belong to a class. len is a built-in function of the standard library of Python. So that's the basic difference between methods and functions. But in your board examination, they may sometimes ask you write a function, sometimes ask you write a method, because I told you whether it's a function or a method, the writing part remains the same. Only thing is, if it's placed in a class, then we definitely term it as a method. If it's just placed in a module or something like that, then we call it as a function, okay? So if in your examination they tell you write a method or write a function, they actually mean the same thing. Is that clear? So I hope you understood what a function is, okay? Second, what are the different kinds of functions that you have seen till now? And at times, when you looked into your previous readers, they said methods/functions. Basically, what's a method and what's a function? But sometimes, I mean, most of the times they're used interchangeably. But normally, methods are referred to functions that you write within a class. Is that clear? Okay. Next, we go to how do we write a function in Python? Or what is the syntax for defining a function? Now, how do I start writing a function? To start writing a function in Python, we start it with a keyword named as def, D-E-F. After specifying the keyword def, we specify the function name. After specifying the function name, we specify the parameters that this function will be using. Okay, and after that we put a colon. The colon says you are starting a block of statements, which means everything that is written under this line, under the function header, which is indented, is going to be a part or a body of that function. Okay, so now let's come to, so def is the keyword used to define a function. Let's come to what a function name is. POW is the name of the function. SQRT is the name of a function. LEN is the name of the function. And if you look at all these functions, they are meaningful names. Imagine if the names were XYZ or ABC, it would be so difficult for us to know what each of those functions do. Okay, so when you write functions, though you can give any function name, it would be better that if you give meaningful names to your function. And function name must follow all the rules of the identifier. Initial chapters of class 11 must have told you 5 rules while naming an identifier. And what were they? The first one said, identifiers can consist of alphabets, digits, and underscore. Then identifiers cannot begin with a digit. Then identifiers can be of any length. Identifiers are case sensitive, which means something you write in capital is not going to be similar to what you write in lowercase. And lastly, you cannot use Python keywords like break or continue or for while naming identifiers. Okay, so these were the 5 rules we learned in class 11 while naming identifiers. The same rules are applicable here while naming a function. Now coming to parameters. Basically, what are parameters? If I'm supposed to be calculating, let's say, simple interest, I'm writing a function to calculate simple interest, then tell me, to calculate simple interest, what is the data required by me? The data required by me definitely is the principal amount, the rate, and the time. These 3 become my parameters. So parameters are nothing but values that you will require to perform this function. Okay, suppose I was writing a function, let's say, to reverse a string. Okay, I'm writing a function to reverse a string. Then what is the requirement before I do the task of reversing the string? What is the requirement? What do I need as an input? The string. So the string becomes your parameter. Okay, so some may have parameters, some may not have parameters, some may have 1 parameters, some may have more than 1 parameters. So it all depends on the task of that function. To perform the task, what is the requirement? Clear? Okay. This first line is termed as the function header. Now, within the function, you will write the group of statements that is going to help you to perform the task for this function. Okay, so that's my statements or statement. It could be a single statement, it could be multiple statements. But remember, these statements are indented. Only then it means it belongs to this block called functions. Okay, when the last line there says return statement, and I've put it in square brackets. Square brackets here means optional. Remember, you are not going to be writing the square bracket when you write the return statement. The square bracket here only tells you that it is optional, means you may or may not return an answer. That depends on the function's task. Does it have an answer or does it have to just display something? That is depending on the task. I always give an example. Let's say we have started with a new academic year, and in our classroom, we need a timetable to be done. Okay, so I assign this task to a student. I call the student and I tell the student that, child, you need to be putting up making this timetable. Okay, so the child for me is the function. Okay, what was the task of the student? He had to or she had to make the timetable on a chart paper or whatever. Okay, so now this child makes the timetable. Now there are 2 options the child has. Okay, either the child returns the timetable to me and I put it up on the class notice board, or the child, because the child has already done the timetable, directly puts it up on the notice board. So that's exactly what my returning and not returning means. Either you return it back to the person who has called you or asked you to do the task, or you directly display it. When you directly display it, you don't have a return statement. But if you're returning it to the location, who asked you to do this, then obviously you have a return statement. Is that clear? So this is how we will be defining a function. Okay. So let me just take you to an example of how do I define a function. For that, let me just take you to my okay, I will take you to Spider IDE. Okay, I'll be using the Spider IDE for the programs. You may be using any of the IDEs that help you to run Python program, no problem. Okay, now we learned that what is the syntax of defining a function. So let's just write a function. Let me say I'm writing a function to add two numbers. Okay, so the function's task is to add two numbers and to display the answer. Okay, so I write I start with the keyword def. Then you must give a name to a function. I call it sum underscore no. Now remember, when I'm naming the function, I need to be following all the rules of the identifier. And currently I'm following all the rules of the identifier. And I write a comma b. Okay, so these are the two parameters. Now parameters means what? I said the function is supposed to be adding two numbers. So if I have to add two numbers, don't I need those two numbers? And that's what you see here. And obviously the function header terminates with a colon. Okay, now to add up two numbers, very easy. I've taken a very simple function first. Your board exams are not going to be asking you something so simple, but this is just to get you into the zone of functions or how functions work in Python. And I write C is equal to A plus B. And I know that that's how I calculate the sum of the two numbers. Now I write print C. Now, when you write print C, now remember that this function that we're talking about, is a function that does not return an answer. This function is taking two numbers, adding it up and displaying the answer. Now, how do I know that it does not return an answer? Because if it had to return an answer, you would be writing a statement saying return C. But since you did not write return C, it means this is a function that does not return an answer. Is that clear? Okay, let's say I had to write another function named as, let's say, lines. Okay, so I write def and I write lines. Okay, now what is this function supposed to do? This function is supposed to draw a line of 10 asterisk signs. Okay, this function is supposed to draw a line of 10 asterisk signs. In this scenario, I don't need anything from the user. To draw 10 asterisk signs, what is the input required? Nothing. That is the reason my parameter list is empty. Okay, now how do I draw 10 asterisk signs, or how do I put 10 asterisk signs? I could write for I in range 10. So this loop is going to be looping how many times? 10 times. When we use the function range 10, what does it mean? It starts at 0 and ends at a number before 10. So ends at a number before 10 means ends at 9. And 0 to 9 means nothing, but the loop is going to be executed how many times? 10 times. And I write the statement print with an asterisk sign. Okay, so I have a print with an asterisk sign. So in this example, now what am I trying to show you here? That I have a function named as lines. It did not take any parameters. It did not take any parameters because to draw a line of asterisk, now this line is not going to be a horizontal line. Huh? We know that every print is going to be displaying it on different lines. If I wanted to make it as a horizontal line, you must have learned that we have a parameter named as end in the print function, which is by default /n. You can eliminate that and you could do, what could you do? I just write end is equal to and put quotes there, which means what? After printing, do not go to the next line, remain on the same line. Now in this example, I will get a line which is a horizontal line of 10 stars. Okay. Suppose now I say I want to draw a horizontal line. It could be of 10 stars. It could be of 10 hashes. It could be 5 stars. It could be anything. The number could be anything and the character to be displayed could be anything. Then in that scenario, how could I rewrite this function? I could have written as, now I call it another name and I'll tell you later why. I just call it line, and it takes two parameters. One is n and one is ch. Now in my program, what does n stand for? How many of these characters do you want to display? Okay, so I have for I in range and I write now n. In the previous example, I wrote 10 because I wanted 10 stars. In this example, I said my function could be drawing 5 stars. My function could be drawing 10 hashes. So what it is drawing also can change, and how many of them will it draw also can change. So that I'm storing it in a variable called n. And what do I want to print? I want to print the value of ch. And like I said, if you want it in the horizontal line, then I write end is equal to. Okay, so now I've shown you here examples of, now in all these examples, there is no return statement. Okay, I'm not returning anything from any of these examples, whether it is sum, whether it is the lines function, or whether it's the line function. Okay, now let me make a slight change because all of them happen to be functions that do not return an answer. Let me make a slight change to the sum-no function and let me say, oh, let it return an answer. So if it's returning an answer, remember the addition of A and B was stored in a variable called C. So obviously when I'm returning the answer, what will I write? Return C. Okay, so now in these three examples, I have shown you two functions that do not return an answer, one function that does not take any parameters, and two functions which take two parameters. So this is how you will define a function. But just because you are defining a function, remember it doesn't get executed. If it has to be executed, you need to be calling functions or invoking functions. So let me just share my PowerPoint screen back with you. Okay, so let's learn how do we invoke or call a function. Okay, now we have in our previous examples learned two kinds of functions. A function that returns an answer, our sum function, and functions that do not return an answer. That is our lines function and the line function. Okay, so if we are calling or invoking a function that does not return an answer, then in that scenario, how do we call such a function? We call such a function in the using the following format. This is the format that you will use when you're calling a function that does not return an answer, which means you write the name of the function and in bracket you specify the parameters. Okay, if it has parameters, otherwise you leave the arguments section empty. Is that clear? Okay, but what if you were calling functions that return an answer? Functions that return an answer can be called in three ways. The first method is shown here. In this method, what is happening is you're writing the function name and the arguments. The function gets called. When the function returns an answer, the answer is given back to the variable that you have written on the left-hand side of the assignment statement. So that's one way of calling a function that returns an answer. If a function returns an answer, you can also call it using the print method. So you write print and then you call the function and you send parameters to it. Or if you're calling a function, you could also call the function in an expression. Now, what do I mean by an expression? You have A plus B plus C, and now you want to call a function. So you could write plus function name and the parameters. So functions that return an answer can be called in a way that it returns the answer to a variable, or it's directly printed using the print statement, or it comes back in an expression. But whether the function returns an answer or does not return an answer, the calling lines of the function happen to be the same. That means you have the function name and the parameters. So there is no change to that part of the program. It continues to remain the same. Is that clear? So did you understand how we call the functions? So this is the syntax of calling the functions. And now what we can do is actually go back to our Spider IDE and learn how to call those functions that we had just defined. Okay, so let me just take you to the Spider IDE once again. Okay, so you see my screen here. It's with those three functions that I had defined earlier. One was sum_no, one was lines, and one was line. Now I need to be calling this function. Okay, so how do I call the first function? Now look at the first example. The first function, does it return an answer? Yes. If it returns an answer, we just learned that one way of calling it is by using our variable. I'm using that method first. So let me say x is equal to, x is my variable. The name of the function, what is the name of the function? sum_no. And what do? I want to pass two values to this function. Values to this function means I want to send some value to A as well as B. Let me send 5, 3. Now what exactly happens when you run the program? When you run the program, remember the functions do not get executed. It is this line that is going to get executed. And what is this line doing? It's calling a function named as sum_no. The value 5 is passed on to A and the value 3 is passed on to B, which means A and B get values 5 and 3. Then I start executing the function. When I enter the function, the next line says C is equal to A plus B. So what will happen? 5 and 3 get added and they are stored in a variable named as C. So what's the value of C now? 8. Okay, nowhere it's displayed yet. And now you're saying return C. When you say return C, what was the value of C? 8. 8 is being returned from this function to the variable that you specified here. So x gets the value 8. And now if I wish to see the answer, I just say print x and it displays the answer 8. Let's execute this program and check. Now remember, I have not touched lines function or line function. So my output will not show me any line. I told you, by writing a function, it doesn't mean it gets executed. It gets executed only when you call it. This is called calling. Only when you call it. So let me just run this tiny program. Okay. So when I execute the program, okay, it's asking me to save before I run the program. Okay, let me just save it. And when I executed the program, the answer given to you, can you see the answer here? The answer given to you is 8. So what exactly happened? Lines and line were untouched. Okay. You called the function sum_no. You passed both these values, that is 5 and 3, to variables A and B. A and B did the addition for you and returned the answer back. So it did not display the answer. It returned the answer back. Back to whom? To a variable named as x. And finally on the next line, you said print x. Okay, this is if you want to add 5 and 3. What if you wanted to add two numbers that the user is going to enter? Then how do I take elements from the user? Okay, let us write A is equal to int input. That's how we take a number from the user. And here I'm assuming that it's integers only. Enter the, let's say, first number. Okay, I enter the first number. And then I take the second number as B is equal to in bracket input in bracket enter the second number. So I enter the second number also. Now I want to add up these two numbers. So what do? Instead of writing 5, 3, I will write A, B. So whatever the user has entered in A and B, those are the numbers which will be sent to the function called sum_no. Sum_no is going to add it up and give me the answer back. Give me the answer back where? In a variable named as x. And finally, I print the answer. So let me just execute it once again. It's asking me for the first number. Let's say I enter 11. It's asking me for the second number. Let's say I enter 20. And can you see the answer coming as 31? Okay, so which means Previously, I wrote, now I just want to show you how I wrote previously, though I will comment that so that it doesn't work. Previously, you wrote x is equal to sum in bracket 5 comma 30. Okay, you had written it like this. Previously, you wrote it as x is equal to, or let me use the other way of commenting so it's a little more visible to you. It will be in green. Okay, we have learned common statements in class 11. So if you don't want that to be executed, previously you wrote like this. Okay, so where we actually passed 5 and 3. In the next example, what did we do? We passed the value of a and b. And in both these cases, I took it into a variable called x and displayed x. If I didn't want to do it, I could also just say print sum underscore no a comma b, like I showed you previously. Is that clear? Okay, now let's talk about calling those functions named as lines or lines. Let me just comment these statements because I need this for some other explanations that I'll be telling you. Okay, let me call the function called lines. Now look at the function called lines. It does not return an answer. So how do you call a function that does not return an answer? That's the function name, and it doesn't even take parameters. So no parameters, no answer returned, I just call it by its name. So when I do that, what do I get? Can you see I got asterisk sign for 10 times on a single row? That is how I call a function that does not return an answer and does not take parameters. But suppose I had to call the second function, then what do I do? Say line, because the name of the function was line and not lines. And now it requires two parameters. One is n, which says how many of these characters and what's the character. Let's say 5 comma, and I send the hash sign. So what does it mean? What will the function do for me? It will display 5 times the character hash. Let's see whether it works fine. Okay, now you might see that you got the asterisk sign and then the hash. That is because the previous line is still executing with you. And you did not, in that print statement, you did not say after printing, go to the next line. That's why I got the next hash on the same lines. If I was not executing this line, if I comment the statement, and if I just execute this, I would just get 5 hashes. Is that clear? So I hope you have understood how do you call functions. Line and lines both did not return an answer. So you called it just by using, just by the names and the parameters. And if you were returning something, then we could call it, I said, either using the variable or by using the print statement. Okay. Now, along with this, so here I taught you how to define a function. That means how do you write a function and how do you call a function. I've shown you examples of how do you call a function that returns an answer. How do you call a function that does not return an answer? How do you call a function that takes parameters? And how do you call a function that does not take parameters? Okay. Now, coming to the next part of it is two important terms from CBSE exam point of view. Actual parameters and formal parameters. Okay. Now, what are actual parameters and formal parameters? The 5 and the 3 that you see here, the A and the B that you see here, the 5 and the hash sign that you see here, these are called actual parameters. Okay. But the A and the B, let me just change the color. Okay, the A and the B that you see here, the N and the CH that you see here, they are called formal parameters. So first definition, the first difference between actual and formal parameters are actual parameters. Look at this example here. Okay, actual parameters are parameters that you write when you are calling the function. So actual parameters are parameters that you write in the function call statement, whereas formal parameters are parameters that you write in the function header while defining a function. So make a note of this. This is your first difference. Second difference is your actual parameter can be constants like this, the 5 and the 3, can be variables like this, the A and the B, can also be expressions. Can also be expressions means what? I could also write sum. I could also be calling the function as let's say sum in bracket, or because it's returning an answer, let me put it into a variable. Okay, sum underscore no in bracket 2 into 3 comma 4 plus 5. Okay, I could also call the function like this. So that means what? The actual parameter is now an expression. 2 into 3 is 6. So 6 is what goes to A. 5 plus 4 is 9. So 9 is what goes to B. So 6 and 9 are sent to A and B. They get added up there, and then 15 is returned back to X, which you could display. So your actual parameter can be constants as shown here, can be variables as shown here, or can also be expressions as shown here. But your formal parameters, look at them, they can only be variables. So in the examination, when they ask you the difference between actual and formal parameter, first point of actual, parameters that you write here, look here, parameters that you write when you call a function, or parameters that you write in the function call, actual parameters. Parameters that you write in the function header while defining a function are called formal parameters. Actual parameters can be literals or constants like you see here, variables like you see here, or expressions like you see here. But your formal parameters will always be variables. So these are the two differences between actual parameters and formal parameters. I hope this class is clear. So let's just revise on what we learned in this chapter. We learned in this chapter what a function is. So a function, we said, is nothing. Now if you look here, it's some statements. It's some statements that do a task. It may or may not return an answer. It may or may not take parameters. And remember, they do not get invoked, or they do not execute on their own. They get executed only if you invoke them in your program. Is that clear? And then we learned how do you define a function is by using the keyword def and the remaining things that is already on screen. Then we learned how to call functions. Calling functions is not new to us because we have called so many inbuilt functions in class 11. Now the only difference is we are calling our own user-defined functions. And then the two most important things from exam point of view is the difference between actual parameters and formal parameters. Is that clear? The next part of the lesson will deal with the other concepts that you need to learn in this chapter. And like I said, the third part of the lesson where we will be doing only programs and output related questions like we get in our board examination. Okay.